Hey, what's going on guys, this is Vishal here from the Pocket Coder, and today in this video let's talk about the BIOS. As you all know that the BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System, and you can guess from the name that it controls the basic input and output devices of the system like keyboard, mouse, etc. But is it the only work that the BIOS does? Not at all. Before talking about what the BIOS does, let's talk about where the BIOS lives. In the modern computers, the BIOS lives in a small flash memory. But in the era of 1980 or 1990, it used to be stored in a ROM. But what's the difference between storing in a ROM rather than storing in a flash memory? As you all know that the ROM stands for read-only memory, and you can guess from the name that we can't edit or modify anything on the read-only memory or ROM, and so we can't modify or update the BIOS as per as our need. We need to change the ROM from that motherboard for that. But in the modern computer, the BIOS is stored in a flash memory, and we can update or modify the BIOS as per as our need because the flash memory is editable. Now let's talk about what the BIOS does. The very moment we click on the power button, the BIOS triggers up. And after that, it checks the memory blocks of the RAM whether they are working properly or not. And after checking the RAM, it checks the processor. If both of them are working properly, then it goes for the bootloader. It finds a bootloader through the boot devices. And after it finds a proper bootloader, it gives the control of the booting to the bootloader. And this was the basic work of a BIOS. In the early ages like the MS-DOS era, the BIOS was used to communicate with the hardware. Like this OS, this is the hardware, and this is the bootloader. We use the bootloader to communicate with the OS to the hardware. We can do a lot of things with the BIOS settings. Like we can change the boot order, we can change the boot device, like we can boot through the pen drive rather than the hard disk. We can enable or disable some hardwares in our computer, and so on things. So this was my short explanation about the BIOS. I hope you like this. Thanks for watching.